The war between the Galactic Confederation and the Caraxian Empire had dragged on for 23 years. 7 alien species fought together against the aggressive Caraxians, but neither side could gain an advantage. The conflict had become normal, with both sides accepting losses as just another day in their long struggle. Far from this conflict, humans had been developing their space technology without either faction knowing about them. Earth governments had united after discovering alien signals, deciding that humanity needed to be prepared for whatever waited among the stars. Lieutenant Kate Murphy walked down the smooth metal hallway of the USS Defiant, Earth's first true deep space warship. Her footsteps echoed as she hurried toward the bridge. The ship looked peaceful with its clean lines and bright lighting, but hidden beneath its hull were weapons more powerful than anything humans had ever built before. Kate's job as communications specialist meant she was responsible for monitoring all signals the ship received. Today, something unusual had appeared, a pattern she couldn't identify. She needed to report it to the captain right away. The bridge doors slid open, revealing a large room filled with screens and control panels. Captain Eric Daniels sat in the command chair at the center, reviewing reports on a tablet. "Lieutenant Murphy," he said without looking up, "you're early for your shift." "Sir, I've detected an unusual signal," Kate said, moving to her station. "It's not matching any known pattern in our database." This caught the captain's attention. He put down his tablet and walked over to her station. "Show me." Kate pulled up the signal on her screen. It pulsed in an irregular pattern, clearly artificial but unlike anything in their records. "It's coming from Sector 7, about 3 light hours from our position." "Could it be a distress call?" asked Commander Ryan Nelson, the ship's first officer. "Possibly," Kate said. "The pattern repeats every 42 seconds, which is consistent with automated emergency beacons." Captain Daniels stroked his chin, thinking. The Defiant's mission was peaceful exploration, but they were under strict orders to avoid contact with alien civilizations until Earth was ready to announce its presence to the galaxy. Still, ignoring a distress call went against everything he believed in. "Plot a course to investigate," he finally ordered. "But keep our stealth systems active. We observe only, unless there's immediate danger to life." "Yes, sir," said Lieutenant Alex Foster at the helm. The Defiant changed direction, its powerful engines pushing it toward the mysterious signal. Unlike older human ships, the Defiant moved silently through space, its hull absorbing radar and other detection methods. To the rest of the galaxy, it was practically invisible. 6 hours later, they arrived at the source of the signal. What they found shocked everyone on the bridge. A large ship drifted in space, its hull damaged by what looked like weapon fire. Around it, 3 smaller vessels fired continuously at the wounded ship. The attackers had unusual designs with sharp angles and red lighting that made them look threatening. "Analysis," Captain Daniels demanded. Science Officer Linda Martinez worked quickly at her station. "The larger vessel appears to be a medical transport. I'm detecting over 200 life forms aboard. The attacking ships match no known design in our database." Kate adjusted her equipment. "Sir, I'm picking up communications from the ships. Translating now." The bridge speakers came to life with harsh, clicking sounds that slowly transformed into understandable words as the computer processed them. "No survivors. The Emperor demands complete elimination of Confederation resources. Continue attack until the ship is destroyed." Captain Daniels's face hardened. "They're attacking a medical ship." Through the view screen, they watched as a smaller shuttle tried to escape from the damaged vessel. One of the attacking ships immediately focused its weapons on the shuttle, cutting it in half. Debris and bodies floated out into the vacuum of space. "My God," whispered Commander Nelson. Captain Daniels stood up, his decision made. "Battle stations. Power up weapon systems. Disengage stealth mode." Warning lights flashed as the crew rushed to their combat positions. The Defiant's outer hull shifted, revealing weapon ports previously hidden. Inside the ship, protective barriers rose around critical systems. "Sir, are you sure about this?" Commander Nelson asked quietly. "Our orders." "I know our orders," Daniels interrupted. "But I won't watch innocent people be slaughtered. Lieutenant Murphy, open a channel to those attacking ships. Kate worked quickly. Channel open, sir. This is Captain Eric Daniels of the USS Defiant. Cease your attack on the medical vessel immediately. This is your only warning. On the screen, the attacking ships paused. Then, one of them turned toward the Defiant's position. Interesting, came a scratchy voice over the communication system. Unknown vessel, this conflict does not concern you. Leave immediately or be destroyed. They're scanning us, sir, reported Lieutenant Foster, trying to determine our capabilities. Captain Daniels sat back in his chair. Let them look. Lieutenant Murphy, are you picking up any communications from the medical ship? Yes, sir, Kate said. They're broadcasting in multiple languages. One matches our translation matrix. They're identifying themselves as a Confederation humanitarian vessel. The captain nodded. Put me through to them. This is the Confederation. Vessel Mercy Light, came a weak voice. Unknown ship, please assist. We carry wounded civilians and medical personnel only. Prepare to render aid, Captain Daniels ordered. Then to the attacking ships. This is your final warning. Withdraw now. The response came quickly. Primitive vessel, your design is unknown to us. You must be from an insignificant world. The Caraxian Empire does not recognize your authority. Leave or die. As if to emphasize their point, one of the attacking ships fired a warning shot that passed close to the Defiant. They've made their choice, Captain Daniels said quietly. Weapons Officer Bennett, target their propulsion systems. Disable, don't. Destroy. Targeting, sir, responded Officer Nancy Bennett, her fingers moving across her console. The Defiant fired for the first time in non-training conditions. Blue energy beams shot out with perfect accuracy, hitting the engines of the nearest attacking ship. The vessel spun out of control, its rear section damaged beyond function. The other two ships immediately turned their attention to the Defiant, firing everything they had. Their weapons hit the Defiant's shields, creating beautiful patterns of light but doing no damage. Shields holding at 97%, reported Commander Nelson, surprise in his voice. Their weapons are not as advanced as we expected. Captain Daniels allowed himself a small smile. Disable the remaining ships. Let's show them what happens when they attack innocent people. The Defiant moved with surprising speed for its size, positioning itself between the attackers and the medical ship. Two more precision shots left the remaining attackers dead in space, floating helplessly. Sir, Kate called out. I'm receiving hundreds of transmissions suddenly. The Confederation is very interested in who we are. Captain Daniels stood at the center of his bridge, looking at the disabled enemy ships. It seems humanity has just introduced itself to the galaxy. Lieutenant Murphy, prepare a proper greeting. Tell them we come in peace, but we're not afraid to fight when necessary. The galaxy would never be the same. A human warship had entered the fight and everything would change from this moment forward. News of the strange ship that had defeated 3 Caraxian raiders spread quickly through Confederation space. Every major communications network showed grainy footage of the unknown vessel appearing out of nowhere and disabling the enemy ships with ease. Military analysts studied the recordings constantly, trying to understand the new technology. 3 days after the incident, Captain Eric Daniels sat in his quarters aboard the USS Defiant reading reports from Earth. The Security Council was divided on their next steps. Some wanted to establish formal relations with the Confederation immediately. Others worried about being pulled into a war that wasn't theirs. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. Enter, he called. Lieutenant Kate Murphy stepped inside, carrying a datapad. Sir, we've received a formal communication from the Confederation Council. They're requesting a meeting. Daniels set aside his reports. Was bound to happen. What kind of meeting are they asking for? They've invited you to Outpost Gamma 9, a neutral station near our current position. They're sending an ambassador named Zrekthar to meet with you. Just me? Kate shook her head. They've requested you bring a diplomatic representative as well. Daniels thought for a moment. Inform Commander Laura Bell she'll be joining me. Her background in international relations might help us here. Yes, sir, Kate said, making a note on her pad. There's something else. The medical ship we rescued, the Mercy Light. Their captain has asked permission to send a representative to thank us personally. Permission granted. Set course for Outpost Gamma 9. The Defiant arrived at the outpost. 16 hours later. The station was massive, a spinning wheel-shaped structure with ships of various designs docked along its outer ring. The human vessel attracted immediate attention, with small observation craft moving close to examine it. In the Defiant's shuttle bay, Captain Daniels and Commander Laura Bell prepared to leave for the meeting. Bell was a tall woman with short, blonde hair and a serious expression. Before joining the Defiant, she had worked for the United Nations, helping to negotiate peace agreements in conflict zones. "Remember," Daniels said quietly as they boarded the shuttle, "we reveal only what Earth has authorized, nothing about our full military capabilities or home system coordinates." "Understood, sir," Bell replied. "Though I suspect they already know we've been hiding our technology. Hard to explain how we suddenly appeared with a ship this advanced." The shuttle departed the Defiant, piloted by Lieutenant Alex Foster. As they approached the station, they got their first close look at alien vessels. Some were sleek and curved like sea creatures. Others looked blocky and industrial. All were clearly built by civilizations with their own ideas about design and function. They docked at a designated bay where a welcoming party waited. The aliens were a mix of species, some humanoid, others very different. In front stood a tall figure with blue-gray skin and 4 arms. It wore an elaborate uniform covered in symbols. "That must be Zrekthar," Commander Bell whispered. Captain Daniel stepped forward as the shuttle door opened. "Greetings. I am Captain Eric Daniels of the USS Defiant, representing Earth." The 4-armed alien raised its upper hands in what appeared to be a formal gesture. "Welcome, humans, to Confederation space. I am Ambassador Zrekthar of the Navari people and representative of the Confederation Council." The ambassador's voice had an odd musical quality, but the words were clear enough to understand. Either the alien had learned English incredibly quickly or some kind of translation technology was at work. "Thank you for your welcome," Daniels replied. "This is Commander Laura Bell, our diplomatic officer." Bell stepped forward and bowed slightly. "It's an honor to meet you, Ambassador." "Please follow me to the meeting chambers," Zrekthar said. "There are many who wish to speak with you." As they walked through the station's corridors, they passed aliens of various shapes and sizes. Some stared openly at the humans, others whispered among themselves. Daniels noticed security personnel watching them carefully. The meeting room was large, with a round table in the center. Representatives from 7 different species sat waiting. Their appearances varied wildly. One looked like a giant insect. Another resembled a reptile standing upright, while others were more humanoid. "The 7 founding species of the Confederation," Ambassador Zrekthar explained. "Each has suffered under Caraxian aggression." The introductions took time, with each representative speaking briefly. Captain Daniels and Commander Bell sat down, feeling somewhat overwhelmed but hiding it well. "We must address the obvious question," said one of the alien representatives, a reptilian being named Vexnar. "Your species was unknown to us until now. Yet you possess technology that rivals our own. You have been watching us, yes? Learning from our conflict while remaining hidden?" Commander Bell spoke before Daniels could answer. "We discovered signs of intelligent life beyond our system many years ago. Yes, we observed. We listened. We prepared. Would you not have done the same if you discovered advanced civilizations before they discovered you?" This caused a stir among the aliens, with several speaking at once in their native languages. Ambassador Zrekthar raised all 4 hands for silence. "A fair point," he acknowledged. "But now you have revealed yourselves by interfering in our war. Why?" Captain Daniels leaned forward. "We couldn't stand by and watch innocent people be killed. The ship being attacked was clearly marked as a medical vessel." "Interesting," said another alien with features like a feline. "Your physical scan shows your species is relatively fragile compared to most spacefaring races, yet you chose to engage superior numbers without hesitation." Daniels and Bell exchanged glances. The aliens had scanned them without permission. "We have found that physical strength isn't always the deciding factor in conflict. Daniel said, carefully. At that moment, the door opened and a new alien entered. This one had pale green skin and a slender build. It moved directly to the humans and bowed deeply. "I am Dr. Liren of the Mercy Light," it said in a soft voice. "Because of your actions, 183 patients and 62 medical staff survived. The Confederation owes you a debt." Back on the Defiant, engineer Sam Collins supervised repairs to the Mercy Light, working alongside alien technicians. He was fascinated by their technology, advanced in medicine and energy production, but strangely limited in weapons and defense systems. "You really never developed shield harmonics like this?" he asked one of the alien engineers, pointing to the Defiant's defense schematics on his pad. The alien, a stocky being named Kuran, shook his head. "Our people focused on healing, not fighting. The Caraxians took advantage of that." Sam nodded thoughtfully. "Well, things are different now. Human Warship has entered the fight, and everything is going to change." 3 months passed quickly after first contact. Earth signed a defensive agreement with the Confederation, carefully worded to protect human interests while offering military support. 5 human warships now joined the Confederation fleet at Outpost Zeta, near the contested Orion sector. Lieutenant Kate Murphy no longer served on the Defiant. Instead, she now worked as a liaison officer aboard the Confederation flagship, a massive vessel called the Starlight Defender. Her job was to help the aliens understand human military thinking and learn their ways in return. Kate walked through the curved hallways of the alien ship, still getting used to the different gravity and air mixture. She entered the command center, where Admiral Vex Nar, the reptilian commander, studied star maps with his officers. "Lieutenant Murphy," he greeted her, his scaled face showing no emotion. "You are just in time. We are planning our next defensive position." Kate looked at the map. The Caraxians had been pushing hard against their lines for weeks. "With respect, Admiral, your formation is too spread out. The Caraxians could easily break through the center." Vexenar made a sound that might have been a sigh. "Again with the human aggression. We have always used this formation. It allows us to protect more systems." "But you lose more ships this way," Kate pointed out. "If we concentrate our forces here and here, we create a stronger position that they must commit more resources to break through." The other alien officers watched the exchange with interest. Over the past months, they had grown used to humans questioning their traditional tactics. But they still found it strange. "We will consider your suggestion," Vexnar finally said, which Kate knew meant he would likely ignore it. She left the command center feeling frustrated. The Confederation had been fighting this war for decades, but they fought defensively, trying to minimize losses rather than win decisively. Humans approached conflict differently, but the aliens were slow to adopt new ideas. Far from this diplomatic struggle, another human ship patrolled the border of Confederation space. The USS Intrepid, commanded by Captain Maya Collins, was newer and more powerful than the Defiant. Its mission was to monitor Caraxian movements and provide early warning of any major attacks. On the bridge, Sensors Officer Paul Garcia adjusted his equipment, frowning at the readings. "Captain," he called out, "I'm detecting unusual energy patterns from the Orion Nebula. They don't match any natural phenomenon in our database." Captain Collins moved to his station. She was a veteran of Earth's Navy before joining the Space Service with a reputation for bold decisions. "Could it be a sensor malfunction?" "I've run 3 diagnostic checks, ma'am. The readings are real." Collins studied the data, then made her decision. "Set course for the nebula. Stealth mode active. Let's see what's out there." The Intrepid changed direction, its engines pushing it silently toward the colorful gases of the nebula. As they drew closer, the sensors revealed more details. "Captain," Garcia said, his voice tense, "I'm detecting multiple ships within the nebula. Hundreds of them." "Show me," Collins ordered. The main screen displayed a thermal image of the nebula's interior. Like deadly fish hiding in seaweed, hundreds of Caraxian warships floated in formation, their engines on minimal power. "They're gathering for something big," Collins whispered. "Run their position against known Confederation outposts and worlds." The tactical officer, Lieutenant Ben Rogers, worked quickly at his station. Their position puts them outside our standard patrol routes, but from here, they could strike directly at the Confederation homeworlds, bypassing our defensive line entirely. Captain Collins' face hardened. We need to warn the fleet. Communications send a... Ma'am, interrupted the communications officer. All standard channels are being jammed. The nebula's radiation plus active Caraxian jamming means we can't get a message out while we're in this position. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. Everyone understood the situation. If they left to send a warning, they would lose track of the enemy fleet. But if they stayed to monitor them, they couldn't alert the Confederation. Could we send an automated probe? Rogers suggested. They would detect and destroy it before it cleared the jamming range, Collins replied. She stood up, her decision made. We can't let this fleet reach the Confederation worlds. Millions of civilians would die. What are you suggesting, Captain? Her first officer asked cautiously. We're going to attack. The bridge crew stared at her in shock. Ma'am, there are at least 300 ships out there, Garcia pointed out. I can count, Officer Garcia, Collins said with a tight smile. But we have two advantages they don't know about. First, they don't know we've seen them. Second, they've never faced a ship like the Intrepid before. She turned to the tactical officer. Lieutenant Rogers, prepare all weapons systems. Target their lead ships and command vessels. We'll hit them hard, cause maximum confusion. Then use the nebula's gas pockets to hide and strike again. One ship against hundreds, the first officer said quietly. We don't need to defeat them all, Collins explained. We just need to delay them long enough for someone to notice they're not receiving regular reports from this many ships. The Confederation will investigate eventually. As the Intrepid prepared for battle, Captain Collins recorded a message to be broadcast on all frequencies once the fighting started. It would likely be intercepted, but some stations might pick it up. This is Captain Maya Collins of the USS Intrepid. We have discovered a Caraxian fleet preparing to attack Confederation homeworlds. We are engaging to delay them. Coordinates follow. Send all available ships. On the Caraxian command ship, Fleet Commander Draztok received an alert from his sensor operator. Commander, we're detecting a small energy signature moving within the nebula. Draztok dismissed the concern. Probably a natural plasma discharge. The nebula is full of them. No, sir. The movement is too regular. It could be a scout ship. Impossible. No one knows we're here. Draztok turned back to planning the attack that would finally bring the Confederation to its knees. His overconfidence was about to cost him dearly. The Intrepid positioned itself carefully, using the nebula's dense gas clouds for cover. Captain Collins looked at her crew, brave men and women far from home about to face impossible odds. All weapons ready, Captain, Rogers reported. Lock targets, Collins ordered. On my mark. She took a deep breath. Fire. Brilliant energy beams cut through the colorful nebula, striking the unsuspecting Caraxian ships with devastating precision. The peaceful gathering erupted into chaos as explosions bloomed across their formation. The first human strike in what would become known as the Battle of Orion Nebula had begun, and once again a human warship had changed everything. The Battle of Orion Nebula lasted for 9 hours. The USS Intrepid moved like a ghost through the colorful gases, striking and disappearing before the Caraxians could respond effectively. Captain Maya Collins used every trick in the book, taking advantage of the nebula's natural features to mask her ship's movements and amplify their weapons. The Caraxian commander Draztok raged as his carefully planned surprise attack fell into chaos. 17 of his ships had been destroyed or disabled, and the rest were firing blindly into the nebula, often hitting their own vessels by mistake. "Find that ship," he screamed at his sensor operators. "How can one vessel cause this much damage?" On the bridge of the Intrepid, the situation was growing desperate. Despite their successful attacks, the human ship had taken multiple hits. Emergency lights flashed as damage control teams worked to contain fires and seal hull breaches. "Shields down to 12%, reported Lieutenant Rogers from Tactical. "We've lost our port weapons array and engines are at 60% efficiency." Captain Collins wiped blood from a cut on her forehead. "Have we delayed them long enough?" Communications. Officer Andrea Scott looked up from her station. Our distress signal is getting through the jamming, but weakly. No response yet. Collins studied the tactical display. The Caraxian fleet was still largely intact, but disorganized. Their original attack timeline had definitely been disrupted. She had accomplished that much at least. "Captain," Rogers called. "Out. 3 Caraxian destroyers are moving to cut off our escape route." Collins nodded grimly. "They've finally figured out our movement pattern. Lieutenant Scott, prepare the data package with all our sensor readings of the fleet. Make sure it's encoded for maximum broadcast range." "Ma'am?" Scott asked uncertainly. "Lidoi. Life pods have emergency beacons and communication systems," Collins explained. "Even if the Intrepid doesn't make it out, that information needs to reach the Confederation." The bridge crew fell silent as they realized what their captain was suggesting. "I'm not giving up yet," Collins assured them with a tight smile. "But I want all options ready. Helm, take us deeper into that gas pocket. Let's make them work to find us." The Intrepid dove into a dense cloud of purple and blue gas, temporarily disappearing from Caraxian sensors. They had bought themselves a few minutes at most. "Captain," said Scott suddenly, "I'm picking up a new signal. It's coming from outside the nebula." Before Collins could respond, a massive energy beam cut through the nebula, striking one of the Caraxian destroyers hunting them. The enemy ship exploded spectacularly. "What was that?" Collins demanded. The main view screen switched to show a section of space outside the nebula. A formation of 30 warships had appeared, their designs immediately recognizable. "Earth ships," Rogers said, his voice filled with disbelief and hope. "That's the Third Fleet." Leading the human armada was the massive dreadnought USS Valiant, commanded by Admiral Lisa Howard. Her voice came through clearly on their communication system. "USS Intrepid, this is Admiral Howard. Looks like you could use some assistance. Form up behind us and prepare to exit the nebula. We'll clear a path." Collins laughed with relief. "Copy that, Admiral. We're on our way." The Third Fleet engaged the Caraxian forces with overwhelming firepower, their advanced weapons tearing through enemy shields. The Intrepid limped out of the nebula, its hull scarred but its crew alive. Captain Collins watched through the view screen. As human warships demonstrated combat maneuvers the galaxy had never seen before. "How did they find us so quickly?" Scott wondered aloud. Collins smiled. "I sent a coded message to Earth when we first detected the fleet. Admiral Howard must have been preparing the response while we were keeping the Caraxians busy." In the following days, news of the battle spread throughout Confederation space. The story grew with each telling. How one human ship had engaged hundreds of Caraxian vessels. How the captain had refused to retreat even when heavily damaged. How the human fleet had arrived like avenging angels to save their comrades. At Confederation, Outpost Zeta, Lieutenant Kate Murphy heard the reports with pride and concern. She was summoned to a meeting with Admiral Vexnar and several other high-ranking Confederation officials. "Is it true?" the Admiral asked without preamble. "Did one of your ships really attack a Caraxian fleet alone?" Kate nodded. "The Intrepid. Yes, Captain Collins saw no alternative. The fleet was preparing to attack your homeworlds." "Such recklessness," said one of the officials, a tall being with silvery skin. "Such disregard for protocol." "Such courage," countered another, the insect-like representative. "No Confederation captain would have made such a choice." Admiral Vexnar studied Kate carefully. "Your people fight differently than ours, Lieutenant Murphy. You continue when our captains would retreat. You attack when we would defend. It is unsettling, but effective," Kate pointed out. "The Caraxian surprise attack failed. Your homeworlds are safe." The Admiral nodded slowly. "Perhaps it is time we reconsidered some of our tactical doctrines." The meeting ended with a new respect for human military thinking, though Kate could still sense unease among the Confederation leaders. They were grateful for human help, but worried about what it meant for the future. On Earth, the Security Council reviewed reports from the front lines. Admiral John Peters presented the latest information to the assembled leaders. "The Battle of Orion Nebula has changed the dynamics of the war," he explained. The Caraxians have lost their best chance at a decisive strike. More importantly, they now fear our capabilities. And the Confederation? Asked one of the council members. How do they view us now? Admiral Peters smiled slightly. With a mixture of gratitude and concern, they've never encountered a species like ours before. Physically, weaker than many, yet more aggressive in combat. They don't quite know what to make of us. As long as they continue to respect our independence, that works in our favor, said another council member. Peters nodded in agreement. Captain Collins and the Intrepid will arrive home next week for repairs and recognition. I recommend the highest honors for her and her crew. While politicians discuss strategy, the crew of the damaged Intrepid received medical treatment and rest at a Confederation medical station. Captain Collins sat in a quiet observation room, watching the stars through a large window. A Confederation medical officer approached her, his 4 eyes blinking in what she had learned was a sign of respect. Your actions saved millions of lives, Captain, he said softly. My family lives on one of the worlds that would have been attacked. We will not forget. Collins nodded. Just doing our job? No, the alien said firmly. It was more than duty. It was something we had forgotten how to do, taking a stand regardless of the cost. As the alien left, Collins continued staring at the stars. Humanity had entered a larger stage now, and there was no going back. For better or worse, human warships had entered the fight, and the galaxy was learning just what that meant. 6 months after the Battle of Orion Nebula, the war had changed completely. The Caraxian Empire had lost control of 12 star systems they had conquered years earlier. Their fleet was in retreat across multiple fronts, unable to counter the combined tactics of human aggression and Confederation technology. Admiral Lisa Howard stood on the bridge of the USS Valiant, watching the stars through the large view screen. The mighty dreadnought led a fleet of 60 ships, half human, half Confederation, as they approached the Caraxian homeworld. Beside her stood Ambassador Zrek Thar, his 4 arms clasped nervously behind his back. We never imagined this moment, the alien diplomat said quietly. 23 years of war, and we never once considered that it might end with us approaching their home system. Howard nodded. Your people were fighting for survival. Humans fight to win. It was a simple truth that had reshaped galactic warfare. When humans joined the conflict, they brought not just their technology but their mindset. The Confederation had been fighting defensively, trying to minimize losses. Humans sought decisive victories, even at great risk. The Caraxian fleet is forming a defensive line around their 5th planet, reported Lieutenant Kelly Ward from the tactical station. Approximately 90 ships remaining. Still a significant force, Zrekthar noted with concern. Howard smiled slightly. But nothing compared to what they had 6 months ago. And their morale is broken. They've never faced defeat like this before. Oh no. Her command pad, a message appeared from Earth. The Security Council had approved her final battle plan. The Caraxian Empire would end today, one way or another. All ships, this is Admiral Howard. Form up in attack pattern Delta. Remember your assigned targets and stay with your wing partners. The Caraxians are cornered, which makes them dangerous. Stay alert. The combined fleet moved forward in perfect formation, a testament to how well the 2 civilizations had learned to work together. Human captains had taught Confederation commanders to be more aggressive, while the aliens had shared their advanced shield technology and sensor capabilities. Before they could engage, an unexpected message came through on all channels. Attention Confederation and human forces. This is Emperor Drazkul of the Caraxian Empire. We request immediate cessation of hostilities and open communications for negotiation. The bridge crew of the Valiant fell silent in shock. In 23 years of war, the Caraxians had never once suggested peace talks. It could be a trap, Zrekthar warned, a delay tactic while they prepare some final weapon. Howard considered this. Perhaps, but our scans show no unusual energy readings. Their fleet is in defensive positions only, and we've confirmed the transmission came from their palace complex on the homeworld. She made her decision. Inform Earth and the Confederation Council. Will accept the communication, but maintain battle readiness. 2 days later, representatives from all species gathered on a neutral space station. The Caraxian delegation entered the large conference room first, their tall, muscular forms making even the largest Confederation species look small. Their gray skin was covered in ceremonial armor, but they carried no weapons. At the head of the human delegation stood the newly promoted Admiral Eric Daniels, once captain of the USS Defiant. In the months since first contact, he had become humanity's lead diplomat to the galactic community. The Caraxian Emperor Drazkul was a massive figure with red markings across his face. He studied the humans with obvious curiosity. "So you are the species that turned the tide," he said directly to Daniels. "Physically, you seem so unimpressive. Yet your tactics defeated commanders who have conquered 100 worlds." Daniels didn't flinch at the insult. "Strength comes in many forms, Emperor. We learned long ago that victory often goes to the clever rather than the strong." The negotiations began in earnest. The Caraxians tried to maintain their hold on some conquered territories, claiming historical rights to several star systems. Admiral Daniels let them talk, then simply activated a hologram showing the human fleet positioned around their homeworld. No threats were needed. After 3 days of talks, the treaty was signed. The Caraxian Empire would return all conquered territories and reduce their military forces. In exchange, they would be allowed to maintain their independence and join a new galactic council as equals rather than defeated enemies. Lieutenant Kate Murphy, now promoted to commander and serving as cultural attaché to the Confederation, watched the signing ceremony with mixed feelings. Peace was welcome, but she couldn't help but wonder what role humanity would play in this new galactic order. As she walked through the station's garden area after the ceremony, she overheard 2 alien diplomats speaking quietly. "These humans," said the first, a tall being with crystalline features. "They appear so fragile, so short-lived compared to us. Yet they accomplished in months what we couldn't in decades." "Yes," replied the second, a spherical entity hovering above the ground. "And that's precisely what terrifies me. Did we just ally ourselves with the next galactic conquerors?" Murphy moved on, pretending not to hear, but their words stayed with her. Humans had changed everything, but how would the galaxy view them now? As saviors or as threats? On Earth, celebrations erupted as news of the peace treaty spread. Families of service members cheered the prospect of their loved ones returning home. In the halls of government, however, discussions focused on humanity's new role among the stars. "We've been offered a permanent seat on the Confederation Council," Admiral Peters told the Security Council. "And they're proposing renaming it the Galactic Alliance to reflect our equal standing." "And the technology exchanges?" asked one council member. "Ongoing and beneficial to both sides," Peters replied. "They have medical and energy production methods we've never imagined. We have weapons and strategic thinking they never developed." As human ships began their journey home, Captain Maya Collins stood on the observation deck of the repaired USS Intrepid. Her actions at the Orion Nebula had made her a legend throughout the fleet, though she dismissed such talk. She was just doing her job, making the best decision she could with the information available. A young ensign approached her hesitantly. "Captain, we're ready to depart for Earth." Collins nodded. "Thank you, Ensign. Tell Helm to proceed when ready." As the Intrepid pulled away from the Confederation station, Collins took a last look at the alien ships nearby. The galaxy had fundamentally changed in less than a year. The arrival of a single human warship months ago had cascaded into a complete realignment of power. For better or worse, humanity had announced its presence in the galactic community not with words, but with actions that no species would soon forget. Human ingenuity, determination, and their strange balance of compassion and ferocity had transformed everything. A new era had begun.